Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on, well, quite an intense journey into one of literature's most enduring and frankly chilling narratives.
Definitely chilling.
We're plunging into the stark world of William Shakespeare's Macbeth. It's a tragedy that, even though it's centuries old, just keeps dissecting human nature with this, unsettling precision.
It really does. Timeless stuff.
So our mission today is to unpack this classic story. Not just, look at it as history, but to really try and grasp its core messages and, importantly, why its insights still feel so profoundly relevant to us now.
Yeah, why it still hits home.
Okay, let's unpack this. So just to set the stage a bit, Macbeth probably popped up around 1606, penned by Shakespeare, of course.
Yeah.
And it's often called his shortest and most relentlessly intense tragedy.
Yeah.
It's really compact, a very immediate dive into the corrosive power of ambition.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here is how Shakespeare actually drew inspiration from, real historical events back in medieval Scotland. Yeah, he used that to craft a drama that just completely transcends its origins. I mean, it's fictionalized, sure, but that historical grounding gives it this raw kind of authenticity.
I see.
In theater circles, people sometimes whisper about it. They call it the Scottish play. Bit of superstition around it.
Right, I've heard that.
But really, it's that very intensity and its timeless themes that make it resonate so deeply. It's not just some old story. It's a profound reflection on the human condition, especially our susceptibility to power's darker side.
And speaking of that dark allure, the whole catalyst for Macbeth's journey, it kicks off with one of the most iconic scenes ever, right? Those three mysterious witches on a bleak landscape.
Weird sisters, yeah.
Yeah.
Unforgettable.
They greet Macbeth, who's this, valiant Scottish general, with a real bombshell prophecy. They tell him he's going to become Thane of Cawdor, which is a big deal, a noble title, and then, get this, eventually king.
Huge.
But they don't stop there.
Yeah.
They also predict that his loyal friend Banquo, even though he won't be king himself, he'll father a whole line of kings.
Which adds another layer of complication right away.
Exactly. Now, here's where the tension immediately, ratchets up.
Yeah.
Almost straight after this encounter, word arrives. Macbeth has been named Thane of Cawdor.
Just like that. Pow.
Stuff like that. The first part comes true. So this sudden validation, what does that do to a person? How does Shakespeare show that internal shift? And how does Lady Macbeth sort of pour fuel on that fire?
Well, it really throws up that crucial question from the get-go, doesn't it? How much free will do we actually have when fate seems to give us such a direct nudge? Because this partial fulfillment, this immediate proof, it doesn't just confirm what the witches said, it ignites something already there in Macbeth, that ambition.
Like it's maybe simmering.
Exactly. It acts as this incredibly potent catalyst. Suddenly, a whisper of power becomes this roaring desire. And it's not just him, his wife, Lady Macbeth, who is fiercely ambitious herself. She sees this as an undeniable sign, almost like a command from fate. She doesn't just encourage him, she relentlessly pushes him, urges him to grab the throne by force, don't just wait for fate, make it happen.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
Her influence is absolutely crucial here. She's the spark that turns that ambitious thought into concrete, terrible action.
And sees it, he does, in probably the most horrific and morally devastating way possible. The pivotal act, the real point of no return for both of them, is the brutal murder of King Duncan. Duncan, who trusts Macbeth completely, is a guest in his own castle, sleeping, only to be murdered by his host.
It's appalling. It's not just killing the king, it's violating hospitality, loyalty, the whole natural order of things.
Yeah.
It immediately plunges them both into this spiral of guilt and, frantic deception.
And Macbeth, desperate, tries to frame the king's sleeping guards, right?
Yeah.
Smears their daggers with blood.
Yes, a clumsy attempt to deflect blame. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's just a chilling example of how one massive transgression often forces you into more and more desperate acts to cover it up.
So the cover-up begins immediately.
Instantly. He's crowned king, yeah, but his hold on power is shaky from the start. It's built on blood. He's consumed with guilt almost immediately, and this first crime, instead of bringing peace, just starts to unravel him psychologically. That crown becomes less a symbol of triumph and more this incredibly heavy burden. Not just power, but the suffocating weight of what he did. There's no rest, just paranoia.
And that unraveling, it's terrifyingly quick, isn't it? That initial guilt just morphs straight into intense paranoia.
It really does.
He remembers the witch's prophecy about Banquo, that Banquo's kids, not his own, will be kings. And suddenly Banquo isn't a friend anymore. He's a threat.
An existential threat to his stolen crown.
So he orders Banquo's murder, but, and this is critical, while Banquo is killed, his son, Fleance, escapes.
Right, slips away into the night, which is huge.
That partial failure must just feed Macbeth's fear of fate even more, right?
Oh, absolutely. It confirms his worst fears that maybe he can't control destiny after all, that the prophecy about Banquo's line still holds true. It ramps up the paranoia.
And what follows is, I think, one of the most memorable, downright terrifying moments in the play. A really public display of his mind cracking.
The banquet scene, yeah.
He's king now, hosting this grand banquet, trying to project stability and power. But then he's utterly haunted by Banquo's ghost.
Which only he can see.
Yeah, it's this horrifying hallucination, invisible to everyone else, and it completely unnerves all his guests. It dramatically shows his sanity just crumbling. This is where we really see the devastating internal cost.
Precisely. It's such a powerful illustration of how guilt and fear aren't just, internal feelings. They start to physically manifest. They erode your public image, your private peace.
Yeah.
Macbeth's public freakout at the banquet isn't just a slip-up. It's a direct symptom of that deep psychological torment. It pushes him further into isolation, makes his tyranny even worse because he becomes more erratic, more violent, trying to keep control.
He drives people away.
Exactly. Creates this climate of fear all through Scotland. The whole incident just reveals that his reign is built on a lie, and it's fundamentally unstable.
So, driven by this escalating paranoia, desperate for, I guess, any kind of reassurance, Macbeth goes back to the witches.
He needs answers. He needs certainty.
She demands more prophecies, more insight.
Yeah.
And they give them to him, 3 new ones, these apparitions that seem, on the surface, quite reassuring.
Deceptively so.
First, beware Macduff. Okay, a specific warning. Second, no man born of a woman can harm him.
Sounds pretty invincible, right?
Totally. And third, he won't be defeated until Birnam Wood actually comes to Dunsinane Hill, which sounds impossible.
Like a riddle.
Exactly. These are incredibly cryptic words, really open to interpretation, but Macbeth doesn't see that. He takes them at face value.
He hears what he wants to hear.
Right. They give him this powerful, almost godlike, but totally false sense of confidence. He genuinely believes he's untouchable, divinely protected. You have to wonder, wouldn't you be tempted? Wouldn't you be fooled by words like that?
It's very tempting to believe you're immune, especially when you're desperate. But while Macbeth is busy wrapping himself in this dangerous false confidence, the focus shifts, and we see this stark contrast.
With Lady Macbeth.
Yes. What's fascinating is her almost inverse journey. Remember how she was the one driving him towards murder, embodying that ruthless ambition?
Yeah, she seemed so strong initially.
But now, she is utterly consumed by guilt. The blood on their hands. She can't escape it. We see her sleepwalking, this profoundly tragic figure, obsessively trying to wash imaginary bloodstains from her hands.
Out damn spot.
Exactly. It's a powerful, visceral symbol of her mental anguish, the indelible stain of their crimes. And ultimately, she dies. It strongly implies she takes her own life, unable to bear that psychological weight.
Wow.
Her whole arc is just this harrowing testament to the inescapable toll of moral corruption. That initial strength just completely crumbles into mental collapse.
Her tragic end really signals the beginning of the end for Macbeth's whole reign of terror, doesn't it?
It does. The final showdown starts when Macduff, the nobleman Macbeth was warned about, and Malcolm, who is King Duncan's rightful heir, they unite their forces. They lead an army against Macbeth's castle at Dunsinane.
Okay, the siege begins. And this is where those cryptic prophecies, the ones that gave Macbeth all that false hope, start to unravel with this beautiful, terrible irony.
The chickens come home to roost.
The attacking army, very cleverly, disguises their numbers by cutting down branches from Birnam Wood and carrying them as camouflage.
Ingenious tactic.
So as they advance towards Dunsinane Hill, it literally looks as if Birnam Wood is moving. The prophecy is fulfilled, but not how Macbeth ever imagined.
The words were true, but the meaning was hidden. Deceptive.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for that central tension in the play? Fate versus free will.
Yeah.
Well, the climax hits when Macduff finally confronts Macbeth. They fight single combat, and Macduff kills him.
The end of Macbeth.
But just before he does, the final, seemingly impossible prophecy is just devastatingly fulfilled. Macduff reveals he wasn't born of woman in the usual way.
Ah, the C-section loophole.
Exactly. He was surgically removed a cesarean birth, so technically not of woman born. It's this crushing blow to Macbeth's belief in his own invincibility.
Wow.
And it just perfectly encapsulates how the play explores prophecies being misleading, how our choices ultimately shape our destiny, and how, well, poetic justice often gets served.
Yeah.
And then Malcolm, Duncan's son, is crowned king, order is finally restored to Scotland, the tyranny ends.
A return to legitimacy.
And that really brings us to the end of the plot itself. But the truly lasting power of Macbeth, why we're still talking about it today, lies not just in the drama, but in its timeless themes.
Right.
These aren't just things for scholars to debate. They really resonate with universal human experiences. They keep offering these profound insights into our own lives.
So let's dig into those themes a bit. Where should we start?
Well, first, let's really look at ambition and corruption. Macbeth's journey, it isn't just about wanting power. It's a chilling study of how unchecked ambition, especially once it's kind of sparked by that prophecy, becomes this fatal flaw.
Yeah.
It just systematically dismantles his honor, his peace, ultimately his humanity. He starts off as this respected hero, right?
A brave Macbeth.
Exactly. But his hunger for the crown transforms him into this paranoid, tyrannical murderer. It just shows how chasing power can strip away everything that actually makes life meaningful. It's a stark warning, really, about power's seduction and what people might sacrifice for it.
That's a crucial point, how that external suggestion, the prophecy, meets something already inside him. It really makes you wonder how often we see that pattern,
Yeah.
Even now. But was it all just destiny, or did he really have a choice? That's the question that always kind of gnaws at me with Macbeth.
And that leads us straight into the central, probably most debated theme, fate versus free will. The witches' prophecies, they definitely set things in motion. They plant this powerful seed, predict a future. But Shakespeare very cleverly complicates it. Macbeth isn't just a puppet dancing on fate's strings. His choices, fueled by his own ambition, yes, but also by Lady Macbeth's relentless pushing, those are what ultimately seal his fate. He chooses to kill Duncan. He chooses to murder Banquo. He chooses to keep going down that violent path.
He makes active decisions at each step.
Absolutely. The prophecies might have been a temptation, a powerful suggestion, maybe even a catalyst, but his actions were fundamentally his own. And that ambiguity, that interplay between what seems fated and what's freely chosen, that's precisely why the play keeps sparking so much discussion. It forces us to think about our own responsibility in shaping our lives.
It's never a simple answer, is it?
Never. Then there's the harrowing theme of guilt and madness.
Yeah.
We see both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth just driven to psychological collapse by what they've done. It shows the internal torment that comes with moral corruption.
Yeah, Lady Macbeth sleepwalking.
Her sleepwalking, trying to wash away that imagined blood, it highlights this internal prison she's built for herself. Her mind is consumed by remorse, by trauma.
While Macbeth's madness seems more outward, almost.
In a way, yes. He's plagued by hallucinations like Banquo's ghost and this escalating paranoia. It's an active madness that fuels his tyranny and isolates him completely. Their minds become these literal battlegrounds, showing how external violence inevitably leads to internal chaos and destruction. It really underscores that crime always has this immense personal cost, way beyond any material gain.
And when you think about their downfall, their descent into madness, it really makes you ponder, well, what makes a good leader? What defines good kingship versus tyranny? It's a question we still ask today, isn't it?
Exactly. And Shakespeare tackles the nature of kingship head-on through this very contrast. He deliberately sets up Macbeth's tyrannical, fear-based rule against the rightful, just, and frankly more stable leadership represented by King Duncan and later by Malcolm.
How so?
Well, Duncan is shown as trusting, honorable, someone who brings stability. Macbeth's reign. Born from violence and lies, it brings only chaos, bloodshed, moral decay. The whole kingdom suffers.
Right.
Then Malcolm at the end promises restoration, healing, a return to moral order. It emphasizes that true leadership is about justice, integrity, the well-being of the people, not just personal ambition and raw power. It's a powerful statement on what legitimate, beneficial rule actually looks like.
A very clear contrast. And with that, I think we conclude our deep dive into Macbeth. It's a relentless, incredibly powerful story that keeps captivating us, not just for the drama, but for its profound, sharp exploration of ambition's deadly grip, the inescapable torment of guilt, and that really complex, enduring dance between fate and the choices we ultimately make.
A masterpiece for a reason.
Absolutely. So as you go about your day, I want to leave you with maybe a final provocative thought to mull over. In our own lives, How often do we mistake a tempting opportunity for some kind of inevitable destiny? And what are the true costs, the often hidden ones, of unchecked ambition, even when it's on a much smaller, more personal scale?
Something to think about.
Definitely something to reflect on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material.